The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Bretto Komodo.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
This is Best Bets on ESPN, midway part of the calendar. We ring in July with a sneaky fun card at the UFC Apex just west of the Strip. The main event features Sean Strickland in a featured bout for the 5th time in his last 6 against Abus Magomedov, who in 6 UFC bookings has all of 19 seconds of octagon time. From Vegas to your living rooms by way of our living rooms, I'm Phil Murphy alongside ESPN betting expert Ian Parker. And Ian, before we get to how you did a week ago, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this week's card, overall, how are you feeling about, I guess, your level of confidence heading into this July 1st event?
You know what? This card's fun. We got a lot of guys that we haven't seen in a little bit. The odds are being a little bit heavy with certain fights, so we found some good plays to go there. I'm pretty confident going into this week. I think I found some good plays for us to really make some money on.
Well, looking at last week, you had your best bets. You had the parlays, which didn't hit, but your 6 best bets did go 4-2. By my math, my calculation, that was a plus 8.15% ROI. How do you think we fared as a best bets family at Emmett Taporia, Ian?
You know what, Phil? I love your math. That was fantastic. You know, we started off a little slow with Trevor Preek and Zalgas. That one hurt because he was a minus 200, but we bounced back nicely with Ricci, Magny, Brendan Allen, then the last fight, Taporia, Emmett. We said fight to start round 2. I told everyone, feel free to get greedy. Go over 2.5 per plus odds. We did pretty well with our best bets. I'm hoping to do a little bit better this week and get back on that win with the parlay.
Well, you had a 6-pack of best bets a week ago. It's beach season, so we got another 6-pack of fights on the main card this week at the Apex. Again, we're at the midpoint of the calendar. 6 months have gone. 6 months left to go. July 1st gets going with Strickland against Abus Magomedov. Here are your odds for this main card. Abus Magomedov, in just his 2nd UFC appearance, again, he's spent all of 19 seconds in a UFC octagon. He's a slight dog. Coin flip in the co-main, we'll get to that very soon. Max Strickland is a favorite against Michael Morales, a dog against Michael Morales. Melissa Gatto favored over Ariana Lipsky, the Violence Queen. Ismail Maheta Bonfim, a late replacement for Vince Pichel against Benoit Saint-Denis. 6 fights on this card, Ian, but it starts with Sean Strickland against Abus Magomedov. Strickland coming off of, well, he had 2 losses at middleweight, got knocked out by Alex Pereira, lost a decision to Jared Cannonier, and then he comes back with a win up at the light heavyweight division against Nassourdine Imavov. Against Abus Magomedov, the Dagestani German who came through KSW at a trio of bout cancellations, had a 19-second win, and then again more bout cancellations. He's back here. What is your, I guess, inclination? What's your best bet for this main event, Ian?
You know what? When I look at this fight, you're going to look at this 2 ways. For those that want to jump on Abus Magomedov, I assume people are going to want to take him as a round 1 prop because, listen, he comes out, he fights quick, he's got good power in his striking. However, he's been very inactive, and a quick knockout over Dustin Soltis does not scream, I'm going to go ahead and just beat the number 7 in Sean Strickland, who continues to fight top-level guys, and outside of Alex Pereira, does not get finished. I think Strickland knows what he has to do here. He's got to weather the storm in round 1, take this fight into deep waters. Magomedov is not a guy that does well in the later rounds. Strickland just doesn't stop. Endless gas tank. He's got underrated takedown defense. Started off at the welterweight division leaning on his wrestling. Now is a better striker. A lot of volume. I really do like Sean Strickland in this fight. I think he's getting disrespected with the odds. People get excited over Magomedov. He's the shiny new toy. He's a prospect. He's an exciting fighter. But Strickland's the type of guy who can derail that hype. I'm going Sean Strickland here as the favorite. And if that number keeps going lower and lower, that works for me. If people want to go for the early knockout for Magomedov, all good. I think Strickland takes this deeper and gets it done.
Well, again, Magomedov in the last, going back to late 2020 when he left KSW, he spent 19 seconds in a UFC octagon against the guy with a significant gas tank. You mentioned shiny new toy. I think his Dagestani brethren also play into the fact that people are curious about this guy. Ian, our brother from another motherland, Aaron Bronstetter at TSN, says guys with Magomed in their name, 52-10. 52-10-1 in their UFC careers, about an 84% win rate. I don't know what that has to do with here. It's just a fun stat. Ian, if you're looking at these method of victory odds, is there much value in going a Strickland by decision if you're confident in his gas tank at plus 165?
I think the real question is going to be if Magomedov does not get to finish in round 1, how deep can he really go into rounds 3, 4, and 5? Where does his production go? Is he going to wrestle? Is he able to get Strickland down? Strickland is a decision guy, but you know what? I don't even mind throwing a prop, maybe like a round 4 TKO for Sean Strickland. I just can't imagine Magomedov being able to keep that pace that he does in round 1 through all these rounds against a guy in Strickland. But for me, that number with Strickland is more than low enough to take him on the money line.
We go to the co-main now, where Damir Ismagulov just had a 19-fight win streak snapped in December. He's against Grant Dawson, a guy who's entering the UFC rankings for the first time, 7-0-1 in the UFC. Ian, before we get to your pick, this line has moved pretty significantly. Now it's a functional coin flip, about minus 110 each way. Ismagulov opened minus 155, and then it's been a slow trickle down as money's gone to Dawson. What do you make of that?
I think what people are looking at is that Damir Ismagulov was looking at retiring a few months ago due to some health issues. Something obviously changed. He's able to come back. And maybe they're comparing Grant Dawson's style to somewhat of Arman Sarukian, who in the fight was able to take him down kind of at will. But outside of that, the difference here to me is the striking. I mean, Grant Dawson's striking is below average, in my opinion, for where he should be in the UFC. And Damir is an excellent striker. If he can keep this fight on the feet, to me, Damir will win this fight in a landslide. If it does go to the ground, Dawson's very top-heavy with pressure. He's got good submissions. I understand why people would want to take Dawson. They think that his forward wrestling can get it done. For me, I would go Damir here. I think he can keep the fight standing. If Dawson's striking is not a threat, then his takedowns become predictable, easier to stop. I'm going with Damir.
Yeah, Grant Dawson goes from Glory MMA, leaving that, going to American Top Team at some point in 2022. It was late last year. Ian, quick question on this before we get to the rest of the main card. Do you think short fight, long fight here? If we're looking at round markets, what do you like?
For this fight, I think if either one gets it done, it'll be by decision. Both guys very difficult to finish. Dawson's very durable. Even if he were to get rocked, he can then lean on his wrestling. I don't think Dawson is going to finish Damir here at all. I think Damir is extremely tough, extremely durable. And look, you still get good money at decision. So whether you take one or the other, whether it's Dawson at plus 240 or Damir at plus 140, by decision, I think whoever wins, that would be the method of victory.
Yeah, and if you are late to the game, again, these odds are subject to change, but if you are late to the game, Ismagulov now far better value than he was even 2 weeks ago. Ian, this is a 6-fight main card. Elsewhere on this main card, we have Max Griffin against Michael Morales as we get to your quick picks. Griffin, a UFC vet, been on either side of a split decision in his last 2. Morales 2-0 since winning on Dana White Contender Series.
I'm going over 2.5 rounds here. I do like Michael Morales as a prospect, but I think Griffin is a lot tougher than people think. I think these odds are a little bit wider than expected. I think Griffin's going to make this way more competitive than expected. So let's go over 2.5 for this one.
Ariana Lipski, former KSW flyweight champ. She's a moderate dog against Melissa Gatto.
Yeah, I'm also going over 2.5 here. It's not usual you get a number like that for a women's fight. Listen, Lipski is tough. She's going to come forward. Gatto can control her on the ground. Even if Lipski takes her down, Gatto is very capable off her back. I think this may be a good back and forth, but I think this is going to go all 3.
Yeah, fans of the Violence Queen, I know, aren't happy to see Lipski as a dog. Ismael Maheta Bonfim, undefeated in 9 years. His last loss was to Renato Moicano. He steps in for Vince Pichel against Benoit Saint-Denis.
You know what? I'm going with the theme of the last 2. I'm going over 1.5 rounds. This over should be over 2.5, not over 1.5. I know Bonfim got that knocked over McKinney, but St. Denis, he's very difficult to finish, very good on the ground, very tough. This is a decent step up in competition, too. I think the line is very wide here. We're going to go over 1.5. I think this fight possibly goes even all 3 as well.
Ian, opening the main card, we have Bruno Ferreira, the undefeated Brazilian, against the UFC debutant Nursultan Ruziboyev.
Look, Bruno Ferreira is no joke. That fight, his last knockout against RoboCop was absolutely insane. People told me, watch out for this guy when he comes in here. And to do that to RoboCop on short notice is unbelievable. His opponent, his last 7 fights have ended round 1 as well. But by submission, I think Ferrer gets this done by TKO or KO at -135.
Ian, why I love talking to you about this, even when the odds look wide, got a lot of -200, even a -300 in there. We are able to navigate and find some worthwhile props with a little bit better payouts. As we shift now to the prelims, there are some experienced fighters, some known names on the prelims. What jumps out to you from the early part of this show, 4 p.m. Eastern start time?
Well, look, you're going to have to look at Kevin Lee's return against Renat. I think this is a very difficult fight to come back to, especially at 170. And at -200, that's usually my baseline, maybe a little bit higher. I'm going to go with Renat there. This fight, Phil, is, I can't believe this is being sanctioned. Brito versus Weston Wilson. He's -1400. By TKO or KO is -125. Believe it or not, if he wins in under a half a round, it's +190. That's even more insane. Brito's going to win this fight, no questions asked. I'm going with Carol Rosa over Yana Santos. Santos going up a weight class. Rosa taking this on short notice. Rosa's better everywhere. She should be able to get it done. The return of Guram. I'm going to take this inside the distance at +100. Brenner is durable, but he has not fought someone with the power of Guram. Let's see how he can get it done inside 3 rounds. Next fight, over 2.5 between Luana and Ivana. And last but not least, the heavyweights. I don't mind this at -205. I loved it at -190. Over 1.5 rounds. Look, Romanov likes to be a fast starter. We got to see what he looks like on the scales. But over 1.5 rounds here against someone in Blaga Ivanov who is a true zombie.
I love Blago Ivanov. He's the oldest 36-year-old on the UFC roster. Yeah, I want to ask you about your Parker's prop. What's the best prop play you have on this undercard?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to go back to that Kevin Lee-Renat fight. Listen, Renat, his last 2 fights, has been absolutely dominant using his wrestling. He's going to have a size advantage over Kevin Lee. And look, -200 on the money line, I don't hate it. I love him to win this one by decision. I think Lee is going to come out. He knows what he's dealing with here, and he still won't be able to stop it. So prop of the night, by decision at plus odds.
Yeah, and Kevin Lee's already said that he's a little bit bearish on the lack of atmosphere in the Apex. Maybe that plays against him here and plays into your hands. All right, Ian, let's get a multi going. What's the Parker's parlay for the Apex card this Saturday?
It's a little bit chalky here, but you know what? I want to get back on that winning track. Let's go Bonfim Saint-Denis to start round 2. Bruno Ferreira at -215. Brito versus Weston Wilson under 1.5 rounds. Last but not least, we're going to go with Guram on the money line, and we're going to get at +204.
All right, 4-way action, +204. Ian, your best bet this weekend is what?
Well, we got quite a few of them. For the main event, I'm going Sean Strickland. I think he should be at least -185. I'm going him at -150. Griffin Morales, it's going to be to actually start round 3, not round 2. Start round 3 at -190. Bonfim Saint-Denis over 1.5 rounds. Renat over Kevin Lee. Carol Rosa over Yana Santos. And Romanov, Ivov over 1.5 rounds. I'm going to give you 6 best bets this week, Phil. Let's get a sweep.
Hey, man, 4-2 last week. Positive net return on your best bets. Let's keep it going. But, Ian, everybody's got a puncher's chance. What's your long shot bet from the Apex this weekend?
You know, unfortunately, I have not hit one yet this year. We've come close. We've been able to hedge. I'm hoping this is the one. We're going to go Bruno Ferreira by KO or TKO. Renat by decision. Brito by KO or TKO. Carol Rosa by decision. And Guram by KO or TKO. We're getting a pretty solid number there. That'd be a really nice long shot to hit going into UFC 290 the following week.
Hey, man, they always say with long shot parlays, just tell a story, and you've told a decent story there, +33, 45. It's the midway part of the year. It's been an exciting and a successful and a profitable open to the year for you. Let's see if we can keep it going this weekend at the Apex. Prelims start at 4 p.m. Eastern and a 6-fight main card at 7 p.m. Eastern for old guys and then the back half of 35. We're Blago Ivanov's age. We were talking about it, both a couple months either way. I mean, that's perfect timing for us, right, Ian? I mean, we're good. Not only can we wager on these things, but we can enjoy them. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on Best Bets. Come back next week. Loads of action heading into International Fight Week and a later start time for best bets. Instead of Thursday like is typical, we're going to be Friday, but it'll be worth the wait. UFC 290, a stacked card. For Ian Parker, I'm Phil Murphy. Best of luck. Thank you for joining us, and please gamble responsibly.